welcome back to the More Than Words podcast, where we go behind the stories to discover the addicting world that is romance. I am your host, Dakota Willink, USA Today Bestselling Author of Dark Billionaire Romance. Today, I am really excited to bring on someone that I've known for a pretty long time. It's the incredible Kat Mizera. Kat is a master storyteller. She's the queen of hockey romance and one of the hardest working authors in this business. Over the years, we've shared a lot of different events, text messages, milestones, and more than a few conversations about the industry, how to stay creative, avoid burnout, and all the friendships that make it worthwhile. I'm really thrilled to have her today. If you are not familiar with Kat, Kat is a USA Today bestselling author who was born in Miami Beach with a healthy dose of wanderlust. Kat is a former freelance sports and entertainment journalist who now writes steamy hockey romance about her favorite fictional teams like the Lauderdale Knights and the Atlanta Thunder. The library of novels that she's penned also includes sexy contemporary stories about athletes, bodyguards, rock stars, and royalties. So now, before I bring Kat in to join us today, I just want to remind everyone, like I always do, to hit that like button because when you do that, it feeds the algorithm and it allows people like you to find us easier. That said, let's get to it.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Freezing, but you know. It's
Really
fun.
cold.
It is what it is. Yeah. It's just we're having to spend a little bit too much time outside because we have to grill because my kitchen is being torn apart. So that's gonna be it'll be like this for like the next basically through the end of January. I'm hoping it'll all be done. But yeah. So we're kind of living out of the basement and then the grill. But yeah, so there's fun stuff, fun stuff. So how are you?
Okay. I'm all right.
You're okay? Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting ready for surgery, so I'm really fucking terrified.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. We talked about that. That's a lot. Your recovery is going to be a challenge, but you'll get through it. You'll get through it. My mom did it, so you'll be all right. But yeah, so for those who don't know, Kat and I, we actually met through the romance world, but it didn't take very long for like that professional connection to become a personal one. Kat is definitely one of the authors that shows up for friends and the community. She's always active on Facebook, talking to people, and that's kind of how we connected because I was in Greece and I was posting about it, and she commented saying, "Hey, you need to go here or go there." And then we eventually switched over to Facebook Messenger, and you know, the rest, as they say, was history.
For sure.
But before we actually get started and talking about all of the book stuff, I usually do like this little like icebreaker because it kind of makes everybody relax. I don't know why everybody gets nervous like getting on, so this usually like helps out. What is something that you are currently loving and something that you're currently hating?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, and you will laugh as someone who lives in Buffalo, but I live in Atlanta. I am loving this long stretch of cold weather. For me, the worst thing is when, because it happens here in the fall and the spring, it goes from 30 at night to 75 during the day. You never know what to wear. You never know where to put the air conditioning or the heat on. It drives me nuts. We've been in the 40s and 50s for since the week of Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and that never happens here.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm loving
unusual.
that.
Yes.
Something I'm hating, traffic. Holiday traffic here is so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I live in the suburbs. I'm 35 miles northeast of downtown Atlanta. So usually we don't deal with it.
Hmm.
But during the holidays, I hate going anywhere because it's just a wreck.
Holiday traffic gets bad for us from basically starts, I feel like it starts mid-November and it goes straight through until January or end of January when all the college kids go back to school. So
Yeah.
it just depends on the school cycle for us. For me, well, talking about my kitchen, I'm currently loving the new countertops that I picked out, but I don't have them in yet, but I'm very excited for them. And I'm hating dust. I have like plastic sheets. Like I'm just yeah. Anyways, I'm just hating the dust right now. The dust that's
Sure.
just like being kicked up everywhere. Um, so all right, so let's talk about your books a little bit. You are known for writing athletic heroes, high intensity romance. why do you think sports romance resonates so much with your readers? Because you kind of write a hodgepodge of stuff. Like you do mostly sports, but you do have, you have some rock stars mixed in and things like that. But you tend to always go back to the sports. 'Cause that's what your readers seem to want. So, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think resonates with them when it comes to sports?
I think some of it is because it's genuine.
Mhm.
I don't write it because it's trendy or because, other people are writing it. I write it because I love it. We are a hockey family. My husband has played since he was a little kid. He played in college. He coached. He was a goalie coach at the college level. I was an NHL journalist for a couple of years. We love hockey. We know hockey. To an extent, we live hockey.
Yeah.
So my books are genuine. Of course, we take creative license. It's romance, it's fiction.
Yeah.
In real life, we know no guy is actually going to get on the ice and propose to his girlfriend
Oh,
after the
why
game.
not? It could happen. It could happen.
I don't know, um, but beyond that, I try to keep it real. My husband helps me write the on ice scenes. So
Oh, I didn't know that Kevin helped you do that.
yeah, I'll
That's
tell him,
interesting.
there has to be a fight here. Tell me what happened, describe it so that
Yeah.
I can put a fight in. Or,
Yeah.
I need him to make a really amazing goal. How does he do it? Because I love the game, but I don't play.
Yeah.
So, and it's different when you don't play. So I try
Yeah.
to keep it real. I try to stay as close to reality as I can, again, with creative license.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think readers resonate with that, even if they're not huge hockey fans. I think it resonates.
That's interesting. Like, but because, well, that said, so how do you, because it is so much life, how do you balance the realistic, the realism with like the fantasy world that we're creating, like the fiction? Because, like you said, oh, who's actually really proposing on ice? And I'm like, oh, it could happen, like that's like the romantic of me. And you're like, no, it's not happening.
At least not at the NHL level. Maybe in the minor leagues it
Mhm,
could, but as far as I know, it's never happened at the NHL level.
mhm,
Um, you know, there's things that I believe are important, like the All-Star game doesn't happen in June. That's something that's going to take a real hockey fan out of the story and be like, June, the season's over in June.
Oh my God. I remember
Um,
when the Sabres were in the Stanley Cup playoffs and it was hot. It was like 80 degrees. I was like, what is going on? The hockey is not supposed to happen in June. Like it was
Well,
like, yeah.
the finals do happen early June to mid-June, depending on the season. During COVID, things were really jacked up, so the
Yeah.
seasons went all over the place.
Mhm,
But, the All-Star game is in the winter, in January, late January, early February.
mhm.
Putting it in June, I think, takes takes you out of the story.
Yeah.
Um, the guys travel. There's a lot of infidelity in real life
Mhm,
for among all sports teams. I,
mhm.
I think the divorce rate is something like 70%, 60 to 70%. It's highest, I believe I read in the NBA.
I
Um,
think actually in real, like not sports people, the divorce rate is crazy high. It's like 60 something percent now, just amongst like average Americans, which just
yeah,
blows my mind. I don't know. I mean, nothing like about, against like divorced couples. I mean, sometimes people are just better not
yeah.
together. But my family, like my parents are still married, my grandparents, we don't have like nobody in my family is divorced and so I don't when I hear that high divorce rate, it's just not something like I'm familiar with. Like it just kind of surprises me that it's that high.
Well, I believe it. About half of my friends are divorced or have been divorced. Not me, not my parents, not my husband's parents,
Mhm.
neither of his brothers, but a lot of my friends are divorced. They're
I
on
don't even have
marriage two or
divorced friends.
three.
Yeah, I don't even have divorced friends. But anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. So you said the divorce rate, infidelity,
And
and
so I
divorced
try to
people.
I try to add those tidbits of reality. Obviously not with the heroes and the heroines. They're not going to get divorced. But
Mhm,
I actually have a few couples that used to be married, got divorced, and then in the books get back together,
mhm,
which is also
mhm,
fantasy and reality mixed
mhm.
together. And you can have fun with it. There are many books that they could be a businessman, they could be a traveling salesman, they could be a musician. A lot of the stories don't have to be hockey centric.
Mhm.
I enjoy making them that way. But
Yeah.
then I also enjoy jumping into the bodyguard world with a little romantic suspense, going back to the rock stars because I worked in the music industry for a long time. So I try to I try to write what I know. Obviously, I was never a bodyguard, but
Yeah.
I stick to a lot of things that I know, or I try to talk to people who do.
It cuts down on the research too when you write things that are familiar. And I always I like to tell this story because because my books are so research intensive that when I have the opportunity to just write something that's familiar to me, I did it with my first book. Like she worked at like Wally's grocery store and Wally's is I worked at Wegmans, and like when I was younger and she was building an end cap and using planograms and I was using the language that I was familiar with because it was one less thing for me to have to look up. So I made her have like this part-time job just outside of once she just graduated college, gave her this part-time job that I was familiar with rather than just say okay, she's working at I don't know, a bookstore or a coffee shop or something. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have. Well, actually, I would know the coffee shop one because I worked at a coffee shop. That's a bad example, but you get what I'm saying. Like I try to pull like things that were familiar so that it's one less thing to research. So I think a lot of authors do that. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty normal. So you have like a crazy release schedule though. So I can imagine keeping the research down is like even more important for you because I mean this industry is just insanely fast paced. How do you so because you write like you're releasing say you're releasing a book next week, you're already writing your book that's coming out in like 3 months. How do you keep track with like how do you keep your stories fresh while keeping multiple things going? Like for me, it's like I write one book, spend the time marketing, and then when I'm done with that, then I go on to the next. I don't have like all the things happening at one time. So how do you juggle all of that?
It'll be 10 years in April. As far as when I started writing with the intent to publish, it's been more than 10 years.
Mm,
Um, in the beginning, there was no plan, but now that I've been doing it for so long, it's really just I have help. I have a great marketing team, an assistant,
mm,
someone who does my social media. Like I couldn't do it all
mm.
myself.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no, you
not.
can't. You need
But
help.
you just, I know, well, it's a little hard right now because I'm getting ready to have this surgery, so things are a little different. But normally, like I finish a book and send it off to my editor, which I did today. Yay. Um, and then I take a week to catch up on admin and, all the other things that we have to do.
Mm,
But during that week, the next story is percolating.
yeah.
Who he is, who she is, what they're going to do, where they're going to go. I'm not a plotter, I'm a pantster. I plot the big points.
Mhm.
You know, are they going to sleep together early? Are they going to sleep together late? Where are they going to be at the midpoint? What the black moment is going to be. Like I have the big stuff
Yeah.
figured out.
Yeah.
But beyond that, the journey is a lot of fun for me. And so um, after my week, usually I get back developmental edits and I spend however long it takes, usually another week, to work on those. And then I send it off to my copy editor, and that's when I start writing the next book.
See, so you're already in another story, and then you have to go back and do developmental editing on the old story. I don't think I could change gears like that. Like even yeah, I'm listening, but I've actually watched you like literally. Okay, I've like
I know you're going to
when you
tell the
want to talk about like
story.
compartmentalizing things and how you can like put yourself in a box, like you were like the master. So we were at an author retreat. There's 10 of us. We're all sitting around the table and everybody's talking shop and there's so many conversations happening all at one time. And you were so zoned in and all you just see you tap 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 tap, you just hear your fingernails on the keyboard and you wrote like a book that week I think, or you got pretty damn close to writing a whole book, or maybe you finished like you were struggling to get through like the last third of it or something and you managed to
Yeah,
knock it out
I
in the
finished a
middle of
book.
10 women chit-chatting and talking and I don't know how I could never but I also can never be a coffee shop writer. There's too many distractions, too much noise. I need quiet. If my family's breathing too much, I'm like, be quiet. I can hear you breathing. Like, like I need it to be quiet. So it's you have this skill though to like shut it off, which I wish I could.
It's that setting was not ideal, but
No, 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 it
but
wasn't.
again,
Definitely
but
not.
again, I have to finish, I have deadlines. Otherwise, I'm going to fall behind. And when I fall behind, that becomes a problem. That's when stress hits, that's when imposter syndrome hits, that's when I get writer's block. So I try to really avoid that. But it was a choice. Either I made that sacrifice and pushed through, or I
Mhm.
wouldn't have been able to be at the retreat. And I really wanted to go. And since we
It was
planned the
more of the
retreat,
fact that you were able to do it more than anything. It was just like, it wasn't a case of like you had to, it was the fact that you could. That's the thing. Like I could say I have to do something, but it doesn't mean I could do it. Like that's the thing. Like you literally could shut it off. And it was like I'm envious of it. Like I said, I don't this is not an attack at all. The fact that you were able to do that was it was I don't know. I just wish I could do that. So what do you think? So going back to like the whole fast paced in the way you release, what do you think what do you think there's something about keeping that pace that readers don't know? Because they just read the books. They don't understand like keeping up that pace, what it might actually mean for you.
everyone's career is different. Everyone's marketing strategy is different. Um, for me, I feel like my front list, which means new releases,
Hmm.
is what pushes my readership and my finances. I
Hmm.
make the bulk of my money on front list as opposed to backlist.
Hmm.
Um, so it's part of my business model.
Hmm.
I'm trying to adjust a little because I don't think it's doable to continue at this pace
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked a lot
indefinitely.
about that.
I can't continue to write 9 or 10 books a year. Um, but with the changes in the industry, like 2025 has been a really rough year business wise. There
It's
are
been a
so
rough year
many
for everybody.
different things going on, and I don't think I'm in a position to slow down right now. I'm just not.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the industry in all honesty. I've talked to my publicist about this. I've talked to so many authors about it. 2025 was not a good year, sales wise for anybody.
No.
And you have a lot of seasoned authors who are sitting there saying, should I be doing this right now? And I don't know what is driving the decline in sales. I don't know. It's strange because we went through a period where I thought reading was like 2024 print sales were way up. And everyone attributed that to TikTok because you had all the TikTokers, they wanted to hold up the books and whatnot. But then the print sales died off in 25. So I don't know what happened there. But just I also know something that I've noticed too is because I've always been, and we've talked about this many times. I've been a wide author since 2015. I've always published wide. I only went into Kindle Unlimited one time in 2019 for like a month. And it was my sales just fell off a cliff. And I said, I'll never ever do that again. But then I started watching my sales change in on other platforms where I used to have 30% of my readership came from Apple. That was no longer the case. It was just that audience was declining less and less and less. And when it fell below 10%, and almost everything was coming from Amazon, I thought something is going on here. So, just on a chance, I threw just a few books into Kindle Unlimited to see what would happen. I didn't put my big money makers there because I was afraid. Because I'm like, no, I've just been I was so against Kindle Unlimited for so long. So then I put those books in there, and I saw those sales go up and they stayed up for a little bit. So I thought, well, maybe this is a thing. So I finally took the plunge thinking that, okay, I started looking at reader habits and not just reader habits, but I just think people's like our habits and what we are
Sure.
doing as consumers. Everything is a subscription model from DoorDash to Netflix to, I mean, just how we're consuming TV. I mean, even like where I get the car wash place, Delta Sonic is what we have here. I don't know how far, I think it's just a Western New York chain, Delta Sonic, but um you get your monthly subscriptions and you get unlimited car washes. So I thought well, maybe it's just buying habits in general have just changed. So I moved everything into Kindle Unlimited, and it's been very good to me. I'm not gonna lie, it's been really good. I gave it a full year. I was gonna go back. I was gonna come out of it in January. I'm like, I'm just gonna give this a year, and I'm gonna go back wide in January. Um, but now I'm afraid to go wide because I cannot make heads or tails about what's going on in this business. And again, like you said, we have to make money, so we have to just do what we see is working and not pivot too much because pivoting could mean a disaster. So
Yeah. And I mean, I've got several series. I mean, I have almost 100 books, so I have a
Yeah,
lot of
you have a huge
books to
backlist.
work with. I have quite a few series. All my rock stars and two of my biggest hockey series are in KU right now. And I've always been anti-KU, just like you,
Mhm,
but sales have fallen off on the other platforms.
mhm,
And I'm not seeing the jump that I hoped I would see,
mhm.
but I'm not losing money either.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That
I,
was the bigger thing for me. I didn't see a huge increase, but it steadied my income. I stopped doing this. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like my income was going like this for a little bit, I'm like, this is not working because my ad spend is still staying like this. So I can't have the sales that are doing this.
yeah.
So that's the only thing that KU did for me. It gave me consistency. And that's why I'm afraid. I'm afraid to go wide, to spend all that time uploading all the books back wide again, only to decide in 2 weeks, nope, this was a mistake. Now I just lost money. And like, so I'm kind of like afraid, but yeah, I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah, so if any like readers that are listening to this, because we have readers and authors that listen and tune in, authors can definitely probably appreciate what we're talking about. But readers, if you have any insight as to why you think that the reading habits have changed, we'd love to hear them.
We really would.
So okay, well, that in mind, because especially with Kindle Unlimited, the read through is so important because you want to get those page reads. So with you, I tend to write trilogies. You write interconnected standalones. How do you like, what is your process for building character universes where every side character basically has potential to be a book?
I try to create side characters that are interesting, whether they are good guys or bad guys, right? Um, who who slept with his teammate's wife and the two guys get into a big fight. Okay, so now the one who cheated is probably not going to be a hero, but that character becomes intriguing, and then people want to know what's going to happen to the guy who got cheated on,
Mhm.
things like that. Um, my favorite story, my most popular hero to date, he was my fourth book called Anatoly from my very first um, hockey series, my very first series that I published. I created him in book one because it was a pretty dark book. It was, domestic violence and a
Oh,
lot of
that's
things.
dark for you. You don't usually write
Yeah, it
anything
was a
dark. You
dark
don't like
one.
to read it. You don't like to write it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was dark for me.
Yeah.
And so I created him, this guy Toly, as comic relief. He was a seasoned Russian hockey player on the team. His younger brother had played hockey with the hero in college, so they had met and they knew each other, and now they're playing together like a decade later. And he speaks he speaks in third person. He talks about himself in third person. He's not the hottest guy in the world, but he's got a really great personality, so to speak, and a really great body. And it turns out everybody loved him. And
Yeah.
with my first book, where people barely knew me,
Mhm.
I had probably a dozen, and that's a lot for somebody who's brand new with no following. I had at least a dozen people email and say, when is Toly getting his book? There's going to be more, right?
You
To
know,
date, he is my most popular hero.
the readers have changed, I feel like, since when we first started. When you said that, when the readers like you're a new author, nobody knew you, but yet people did know you. Like they were finding you, they were asking you for things. I feel like the connection between authors and readers has changed. In good ways and bad ways. But like I remember when I first published in 2015. I didn't have the next book coming out until like another year. But I had these readers that they're still my most loyal readers. They latched onto these characters and they still follow me with everything, but they they weren't if they would reach out to you. They would be like, "I love this book. Thank you so much." And we don't get that anymore. Um I
Very
feel
little.
like, and I don't know why readers don't do that anymore. I feel like is what we're seeing more and more is the attacks on the internet instead of,
Love.
yeah, I don't, and I don't know if it's because social media just became like a vicious place, But yeah, I miss those days where the readers were very involved. I can't say like very involved, but like that's not the right word, but where they wouldn't hesitate to send us an email and say, I really love this book. Thank you for writing it. Or when is the next book out? Like they were really interested and invested and patient, waiting for us to get the next book. Now it's I'm not picking up the book until the series is done because I don't want to, like they don't want a cliffhanger. And
And that's problematic for me because I
Mhm.
don't know how long my hockey series are going to be. Like if I'm writing Rockstar, it's a band. So you have a finite number of people in the band. You might be able to stretch it to like a tour manager, right?
Mhm.
But you have a finite number of guys in the band. The hockey team has got like 25 guys on it.
Yeah,
Um, my Sidewinder series is 15 books.
yeah,
And then the spin-off, which is Sidewinders Generations, is another five. So that's 20, and then there's a crossover between that series and my Bodyguard series. So technically, there's like 26 books.
do you have book Bibles for all this, keeping it straight? Because
Yeah.
I would, you do. Okay, good. Because, like, I mean, I'm trying to keep track of it, you just talking about it. I actually just started making book Bibles about a year and a half ago because I had to pull in with this new trilogy. I was pulling in characters from the Stone Saga and I couldn't remember things. So I started, I'm like, I really need to do this. It was even things like I realized I was using the same, like an obscure character like a doorman or something. I had already used that name for the store clerk in another book, and I'm like, oh, so I had to like start
Yeah.
keeping track of like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, so when you're building all these universes, do you ever feel like these fictional worlds start to feel like more like home, like they're kind of living inside you?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I can definitely like sometimes if I'm not on a strict deadline and whatever, I love going into my manuscript and immersing myself in whatever world I'm in.
Hmm.
Um, they become real. They're real to me. In
Yeah.
my head, they exist. I see them, I feel them, I talk to them in my head.
It would no, actually, there's actually psychologists would actually have a field day with this. They think that there's like realistically, the fact that there's voices and people talking to us like these characters, that's apparently not a normal like thing. Like there's like a psychological diagnosis for this. And then I got to find the article. I was reading something and I'm like, well, that's basically describes an author. This is not like a problem. No, but I know what you mean. With my still I always go back to the series because it's my best my still my bread and butter, but it's Alexander and Christina. It was only supposed to be three books. It ended up being five because readers wanted more, but it was only supposed to be three. And when I finished that, like their third book, that trilogy, I felt like somebody died. I was like done with that. I called my mother. I cried and cried and remember this was basically my whole world for a better part of 10 years because I started writing in 2012, the first book. And then I was trying to pitch it. I was working with a trad publisher for a little bit and that didn't pan out. So I ended up publishing Indie in 2015. And then the third book came out in 2017. So 2012, so 5 years, 5 years. It was like it was my whole life. That's all I was doing was just working this manuscript like over and over and over again. And yeah, and then suddenly I didn't know what to do. It was like, what do I do with myself? Like I didn't know how to like write a new world, write new characters because they were literally everything to me. Yeah, it was like someone died. It was pretty traumatic
And like
actually.
my publicist had said to me just recently, I think 10 books is enough. You need to spin off. And I was like, but I like this series and I love these people and so still needs a book and all this stuff. And she's like, no, no, let's spin off. Let's try something new because and this is something else with readers. Your core readers will read
Mhm.
everything you put out. But when you're looking to pull in new readers, they see a series that's 9 books already,
Mhm.
and they're like, oh, that's a lot of money
Yeah.
to invest. What if I really like it? And even with book one being free, it's not anymore, but it was, um, you know, there's still 8 more books that they got to put out 4 or 5.99 for.
Yeah.
And they'll hesitate
Yeah.
because, people do have budgets. And the series was not in KU. It is now.
Mhm.
But I wonder if, from marketing people that I've spoken to, they seem to think that people will not jump into a series that has a ton of books because it's a big investment. They want to start at the beginning.
I think there's a lot of people throwing spaghetti at a wall right now, trying to figure out what works. And I've heard that theory, but I've also heard the complete opposite. So from publicists to like expert marketers, from to authors, like when I say like nobody can figure out what happened in 2025, like it's crazy. I
It
mean,
is.
and I think that's part of the reason why I see so many people like authors like pushing their side gigs so much because they're trying to make up their money elsewhere. I mean, I have my side stuff, but I don't ever like push it. It's just kind of like there. um but I had to like think to myself, I'm like, am I going to start pushing my side gigs in 26? I'm like, no, I'm not doing it because
I don't have any side gigs. I just have books. That is what I do full
well,
time.
I like side gigs, like meaning like I don't, that's probably like the wrong thing to say. Like, I can't just write books. I need to do something else. This is part of the reason for like this podcast because it gets me talking to people. It brings in new readership, and it's fun, right? I like to talk to people, and this is a very lonely business, so this is like something to do, right? So that's the reason for this. But when I mean side gigs, other things that bring in money, like I can, I'm a graphic designer originally before I was ever doing any of this. I have like author coaching, but I don't like, it's one thing I will say, the author coaching, I mean, I've enjoyed it, but I hate this feeling of responsibility for somebody else's like results. I
Sure.
can't separate. Like, you've got like these people that are just selling these courses left, right, and center, and it's just it's all about money. Me, I get invested in the author, like to make sure that they could. So I only take on so many clients at a time, but I don't want to make that my thing. I just want to be an author. So, anyways, I'm getting distracted about the
Everything.
state of the industry
State
because
of
nothing
everything.
makes sense. Um, all right. Well, we do have Q&A questions. So readers have sent out questions. I have like a little form that they can fill out. It gets sent out with the newsletter. So before we get to those questions that they sent in, I just want to mention Kat and I, we are doing a giveaway. The link to enter it is in the YouTube description, so you can check that out there. And then, like I said in the beginning of the intro, make sure you like and subscribe, because your support there helps feed the algorithm to improve our relevance and shows the content to more people like you. So that said, let's see. I'm pulling up the questions that were sent in. You're kind of, you could tell you're like a hockey author because we had a few a couple Canadians. I can always tell like hockey, or if I have like Canadian authors, we get Canadians asking questions. So I have Alyssa from Vancouver, British Columbia. This question is for Kat. How do you keep characters in long-running series from feeling repetitive? She must want to be a writer. That sounds like an author question.
Well, I think it's just like in real life,
Mhm.
like all my friends are not the same. And
Mhm.
so all my family is not the same. So you take a little bit of real people and you
Mhm.
create a different character.
Mhm.
Tully was funny and quirky and spoken about himself in third person. And then, Marty was is quiet and kind and gentle and, you know, a great dad. So everybody has their quirks. There's guys who love to party. There's guys who just want to stay home. I have a Russian side character right now who he doesn't speak a lot of English and he just likes to stay in his room when he's not playing hockey. And then once in a while he goes out and gets laid. That's
Yeah.
Victor's personality. That's it. Like, and until he gets his book, that's what we're going to know him as. So you
Yeah.
try to you try to spread it around.
Yeah.
Introverts, extroverts,
Hmm.
all of it.
Interesting. This question is actually for both of us. This is from Sophia in Tampa, Florida. She wants to know, do your characters come to you first or the plot? You go first.
Usually the characters, because I write interconnected standalones, and whether it's rock stars or hockey, they don't exist, in a vacuum. There's a team around them. There's people to talk to, their teammates, their roommates, the people they play with. So as I develop these friendships between the hero of this book, I start thinking about which guy is going to be the hero of another book. So definitely characters first. Once in a while, I've written almost 100 books. Once in a while, I get a plot
Hmm.
idea, but usually it's character first.
For me, it's definitely the plot. I usually have a plot and then I have to figure out who the characters are. I think that's actually part of the reason why my writing process takes so long, why I'm not a fast writer, because I have to learn my people. So like I have the story, but I have to give them a personality to fit with the story that I want to tell. And that the character development can take a little while for me.
Yeah.
Um, so now I have Emily C. from Ontario. This question is also for both of us. She said, "What trope do you love to would you love to write but don't?" Oh, well, actually, I know easy. I would love to just write like fantasy, build a whole made up world, but I don't feel like I have that imagination. I like to read it, but and not even like romantic fantasy, like Harry Potter fantasy, like just make up a whole like witchy world, like and do that. But I just don't think I, I don't think I have the creative ability to do it. I mean, I could, but it's like maybe that I don't have the time more than anything. Like the time, oh my God, the end. I really am jealous of fantasy authors, the fact that they can just make up worlds like that in such short time. But what about you?
I I don't know if it's a trope or a subgenre, but I'd love to write MC, Motorcycle Club, but I just don't have the bandwidth and I don't those books tend to be dark and a
Yeah.
little bit gory and violent, and that's just not me. I mean, I can throw in a fight, I can throw in, somebody getting kidnapped, but at the end of the day, I don't think I could build a whole world around that.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated by it, especially within not the real life, but I'm fascinated by the romance world of MC because these guys are inherently outlaws. They are inherently the bad guys, but they're not. And to be able to change that around so that you are rooting for the so-called bad guy, I love that. I
Yeah.
love it. I just don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking that, like, I remember watching, I don't really read MC, which is strange to me because I loved Sons of Anarchy, literally loved it. So the fact that I can honestly say I don't think I've ever read an MC book. No, no, that's a lie. I think M Never did an MC book and I read it. It was a while ago. Yeah, what happened to M Never? I haven't heard of her. I haven't heard her name in
No,
a
not in a
while. I
long
used to
time. I
love
haven't seen
reading her
anything
books.
from her.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to send her a message. I don't know if she's still writing. Um, but yeah, no, but like yeah, you're right. But back to like what I was saying, like Sons of Anarchy, like Jax Teller was not like a good guy, but yet he was. He
But
was
he
like
was.
the hero, like you wanted to, you were rooting for him, but he was just they were all bad guys, you
They
know.
were.
So, okay. So I have another question from Kaylee from Westchester, New York. This is for both of us. And we kind of touched on this earlier. She wants to know how much research goes into your books.
Every book is different. Some books, not at all. If I have a heroine who's a legal assistant, which I was,
Mhm.
and the hockey hero, because I have my husband. So I know the game, and I
Mhm.
have my husband if I want something technical. Um, I can just fly right through it from the research perspective.
Mhm.
Other books take some time. You have to talk to somebody or spend hours on the internet making sure that you're doing the right thing.
That you're right. It does vary by the book. Because because we're pansters, we don't plot. So it kind of depends on where the story takes us. We don't necessarily always know what research is going to be involved going in. Sometimes you start writing a section and next thing you know, you're lost in a Google search. The only one that I had really like serious planned research for, well, there was well, I mean, unless you count, because I've actually gone to places where, like, I actually traveled to locations that my books were set in, not just for the tax write-off, but because I wanted to actually see, like, where,
Be immersed in it.
what I was writing about. I wanted to see it personally because you can only see so much on maps. So, um, but that, especially when you're getting into the nitty-gritty of, like what I'm writing right now, like Roman ruins and the Trust Fall trilogy. Like I've been there, but I wanted to revisit to make sure I was getting like certain points correct. But really, the only one that took a ton of like planned ahead research was The Sound of Silence, because that was there's a domestic abuse situation, and it's my darkest book, and I wanted to make sure I was getting all of that right. The story, I interviewed a lot of women who had lived through it, and so that one was the most research intense intense, like as far as like the emotional toll that took too
Sure.
was quite a bit. It's a problem with writing dark romance. You have to take breaks because it can be a lot. Like, you get lost in
Sure.
your head. So,
Yeah.
this one is for Kat. This is from Rebecca from Peoria, Illinois. She says, "Has an athlete ever reached out to you?" Ah,
Like,
like,
you
I
know,
don't know about,
regarding my books, I
yeah,
mean,
anything. I don't know. She didn't specify. She just said, "Do athletes
um,
ever reach out?"
no, no.
No, nothing.
I don't think beyond the debacle that happened in 2024, um, I
What
don't think,
debacle?
oh, so there was an influencer, a book influencer, who got really over the top with her team. And
Oh, I
she
do
went
kind of remember that.
and
Yeah.
and she started, there was one guy on the team who's really good looking, and so comments were made about him, and they do some interesting stretches sometimes on the ice before the game, and it could be sexualized if you wanted it to,
I
and
do
she
remember
did.
that.
And then women became so obsessed with this player, like they started saying horrible things to his wife, like on social media, saying things like his they had a little boy, they had like a 9-month old at the time, and they were like, that baby probably isn't even his. She's been cheating. And like, they don't know these people.
What? And these are
Oh,
just
yeah.
romance readers that like went crazy?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And
I do remember the story, but I didn't realize it got that
oh,
involved.
it was really bad to the point where he had to make a statement and be like, hello, I'm sorry, you need to leave my wife alone. And this is ridiculous. And so romance authors have gotten kind of a bad rap in the NHL now. One of my fellow hockey writers, she has season tickets to the team in her town, and she went to like a season ticket holder thing where you get to see the team and talk to people. And she was talking to one of the players, and he asked her what she did for a living. And when she told him, he literally took a step back and was like, "Oh."
Oh, wow.
But luckily,
Yeah.
she's one of those people who advocates for herself. And she went on to explain to him how most of us are not like that. And this is one influencer who took things too far and blah, blah, blah. But like literally, that was his reaction to her. So,
That's sad,
no,
actually.
no, I've met lots of players,
Yeah.
both because I've been an NHL journalist for a couple of years and um, because we love hockey. So we've spent a
Mhm.
lot of time. Going to games, and sometimes we've been to all-star games where we've met players and stuff like that, but no one has ever reached out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's why they asked the question. Maybe the
Maybe
person who asked that question is familiar with like that story. I do remember it, but I just did not realize it got that out of
it got
control.
really ugly.
Um, but that again, that goes back to something I was talking about earlier, and how the relationship with authors and readers have changed. And it's because of stuff like that. Like, I feel like that's the stuff that you're seeing more often than the good stuff. Like we used to have, God, do you remember the day of like Facebook parties? Like, where we used to
And
go on
people were so excited to be there and
they
talking
were
to
just
us.
so excited, and we'd be in there and we'd be interacting, and now like there's no interaction like that anymore. And
No,
it's, yeah, I don't we need to get back to that. Maybe I'll do an episode just on that, like just by myself. I'll just start talking. No, then I'll sound like I'm lecturing, and then I'll get social media canceled. So,
don't do that.
um, all right. Well, that said, final thoughts before we go to unpopular opinions. Could be about anything. Like,
Well, I want to talk about my upcoming book and series.
okay.
I have a new series, Pucks and Penalties.
Okay.
Book one is coming out January 21st. It is called Penalty Kiss. I took a hero from my LA Phantom series and got him traded to this new team set in Atlanta, which is where I live. So that's kind of fun. And in my LA series, I kind of went with some older, more mature characters, women that were very established, had their own money. Like there was no guy saving the woman. The women in that series were all very self-sufficient. In this series, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going a little bit younger, not super young. I don't write super young, but like early to mid 20s,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to late 20s. But I just thought it would be fun to switch it up,
Mm-hmm.
have some younger adults, some ladies who aren't necessarily established yet. Book one is Bodhi and Jane. It is a forbidden coach's daughter. He falls first book. I think it's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's coming in January.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Then what is your unpopular opinion? It could be about anything about romance writing, characters, tropes, or something in the world.
Um, Unpopular opinion, I think, is that authors should just write books and they're not allowed to have opinions on anything in the real world.
Yeah.
That readers don't want us to be pro or anti something. They don't want to hear about our political affiliations. They don't want to hear about injustices in the world. They just want us to write the books and shut up. Otherwise, you get canceled. And
I
that
don't think
really,
many of them realize how, how much politics are in our books.
I don't think they do. I think a lot of it they just get, it's just glazed over and that's okay. But I think we should be able to. I think we should be able to talk about things that are important to us
I
without being
agree.
canceled. I mean,
I
no,
do. I try
you're
to
not
keep
gonna
it.
go out.
I do. Yeah. I completely agree, and I try to keep it um separated. So, and I will literally tell people if you want to follow me just about my books, go to Instagram or Facebook. If you want to follow my politics, go to Threads because
Sure.
I'm loud over there. I'm not on book threads at all or author threads. It's all what's happening like in the world because I need to have my opinion. I have a platform. I'm going to use it. I'm going to, voice my opinion. And yeah, you're right. I don't you're right. That's a very good like unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
Um Mine is a little bit lighter, going like looking further into like 2026 because I'm trying to like just plan out and plot and what I'm going to be doing. And I was like, "What are your plans for Valentine's Day? You're going to do an anthology. You're going to do," and I'm like, "Valentine's Day is the most overrated holiday ever." That's my unpopular opinion.
Agreed. Agreed. I am with you right there.
So, all right. So that is our episode. Again, I just want to remind everybody to hit the like button so that we get more traction and more people can find us. And then, Kat, it was so much fun talking with you today. I always love our conversations.
You too.
To the listeners, don't forget to enter the giveaway as well. I just wanted to remind you one more time about that. And then also, there's links for Kat and I in the YouTube description, so you know where to follow us and find us.
And I won't be mailing out anything probably until the end of January, just because of my
Oh,
knee surgery,
oh yeah, this
all
yeah, because
that.
by the
So I just want
time
people to know that you'll win, but it's not going to come to you for about a month.
no, that's fine. Because once the giveaway happens, I when I send that when I pick the winner, I do tell them that there's 30 days until like to give us a 30-day window to mail the books. So don't worry about that. They know they don't nobody complains. It's a free book, so.
Yeah, it's true.
So, all right, everyone. Well, until our next episode, happy reading.
Thank you for having me.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into the More Than Words podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and consider sharing it with your friends so more people can find us. The more people we have listening, the more fun we can have on our shows. And most of all, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting authors everywhere. Thanks and happy reading.